I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, and welcome to our podcast, For the Health of It. Remember to subscribe to our podcasts, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well.
The information presented on this program is not intended to take the place of your personal physician's advice, and it is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Discuss this information with your own physician or healthcare provider to determine what is right for you.
Are you suffering needlessly? Dr. Joe can give you advice on how to naturally get well and stay well. Dr. Joe Esposito.
I'm going to answer a question today, and I get this question a lot in my offices. And the question is, why am I so tired? I hear it all the time. Patients say, Dr. Joe, I got neck pain, back pain, and shoulder pain, and acid reflux, and sciatica, and I've been in a car accident. But kind of an overwhelming response I get from most people. I say, is there anything else? And they say, I'm tired all the time. Is there anything I can do or anything I can take? Now, there are supplements, of course, you can take that'll help with fatigue. Dr. Joe's Adrenal Support, Dr. Joe's Nitric Oxide is like off the chart when it comes to fatigue. B-Complex. So if somebody's really tired, I'll get them on Adrenal Support, Nitric Oxide, and B-Complex. And in most cases, they're like, oh my gosh, Dr. Joe, I don't do coffee anymore. I don't do caffeine. I don't do chocolate. I feel great, and you're amazing. So instead of artificially stimulating your body, we give your body the nutrients that it needs to give itself energy. And so with caffeine, if you do caffeine, the way caffeine works is there's a chemical in your brain called adenosine. And adenosine is released in the brain, and then it's absorbed in what's called an adenosine receptor site. And that's the thing that makes you tired. So that's a normal process. Your body is running. Your body starts getting tired. Brain says, let's produce some adenosine. Let's get Joe or Garrett or whoever to get tired. Okay, so the body gets tired. Caffeine looks like adenosine structurally. So in fact, caffeine gets absorbed into the body and blocks up the adenosine receptor site. So now your body can't absorb adenosine. So if it can't absorb adenosine, you don't get tired. And it also is a stimulant to the nervous system as well. But that's the mechanism behind caffeine. So what happens is your body's smarter than you. So your body says, wait a minute, I need to get tired. I need to rest. So then the body produces more adenosine receptor sites. So you can absorb the adenosine because, again, caffeine's blocking it up. And so where it used to take maybe 1 cup of coffee to get you awake, now it takes 2 or 3 because your brain is actually changing. It's physiologically and physically changing to absorb the adenosine. And you then have to drink more coffee to fill in these adenosine receptor sites. And that's why the game goes on and on. You drink 1 cup, 2 cups, 3 cups, 10 cups, whatever it is. So that's one thing we can do, or we can give your body the nutrients that it requires in order to function more efficiently and not need to get tired. B-Complex is good for that. Adrenal Support is good for that. Dr. Joe's Nitric Oxide is good for that. And so that's what we try to do is get people on natural foods. And then, of course, the minimum supplements you should be taking every day, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. I don't know how many times I say that. That's the minimum supplements. And somebody just sent me a question today on the website, drjoe.com. What's the minimum supplements I should be taking? And I said, well, I don't know you. Everybody's different, but at least Super Greens and Essential Source. But most people need a lot more than, not a lot more, but need more than that. But again, you asked me the minimum. I'm answering your question, but it's not what you require. It's what the minimum is. So if we get people on Super Greens and Essential Source, many times that alone gives you plenty of energy. I had a patient come in the other day, and a young girl, and she looked at me and she goes, I am very mad at you, Dr. Joe. And I said, why is that? She says, you didn't tell me I shouldn't take Essential Source and Super Greens at night. I said, oh, did you take it at night? She goes, oh, yeah. I said, up all night? She goes, oh, yeah. She goes, good news is I got a lot done, had a lot of energy, I got a lot done. So some of the supplements most of the supplements I take in the morning because they just give me so much energy, I can't get anything done. I lay awake at night. So I get things done during the day. I just can't get to sleep. So one of the things to answer the question why you're so tired all the time is your body is many times depleted in nutrients. We give it the nutrients that it requires, and bam. So instead of coffee, of course, Super Green, Essential Source, B-Complex, Nitric Oxide, and Adrenal Support, and you're going to get natural energy. You're not going to get that shaky caffeine energy where you go up and then you crash, you go up and you crash. It's a constant, steady. And if you've never had that type of energy, it's pretty cool. Okay, people really enjoy to be naturally high and not artificially high, artificially stimulated. So that's really a good thing. And the other thing we're going to talk about today, too, if I get to it, is water. So many of you are dehydrated. You just don't drink enough water because there's a part of your brain, it's in the hypothalamus, that controls hunger when you're a baby, and another part of your brain that controls thirst. And as you become a toddler, those two parts of the brain grow together. And so many times you have a tough time distinguishing between hunger and thirst. So as a toddler, if you remember, as a baby, they always, I want to drink, I want to drink. You have to carry sippy cups with you all the time. Babies are always thirsty. Then as they get into the toddler age, you go, oh, thank goodness I don't have to carry sippy cups with me anymore. The kid's not thirsty anymore. Well, the kid is thirsty, but now we call it hunger. Because if I drink water, I don't get any stimulation to my brain. It's good, but if I drink something like soda or sugar, I'm going to stimulate a part of the brain called the nucleus accumbens. Nucleus accumbens releases dopamine, and I get high from it. So I'm saying I'm not hungry, I'm thirsty. I'm not thirsty, I'm hungry. When in reality, I really am thirsty, but I don't get a kick out of water. I get a kick out of sugars. And so that leads into addictions. And if you do have an addiction, and most of us have at least a sugar addiction, I would say go to our website, drjoe.com, and listen to the show we did on addiction. And it breaks down the neurophysiology of addiction. Really good show. I really enjoyed doing that show because I shared with you how the brain works. And a lot of people got excited about that. So when you're tired, water, supplementation, stay away from bad foods. The big 7, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, the 7 deadly sins of nutrition. So many of you eat those all day, every day, and they are exhausting. The number 1 consumer of energy we have as humans is romance. We'll keep it clean. It's a family show. The number 2 consumer of energy is digestion. And most of us are digesting all day, every day. We may not be having romance all day, every day, but we're digesting all day, every day. And so the harder the food is to digest, the more energy it's going to take. And the hardest foods to digest are animal proteins. So meats, butters, cheeses, yogurts, ice creams. And so they put a lot of strain on the digestive system, using up a lot of energy. So it may not be that you need more energy. It may be that you have to stop using up so much of your energy so you have a reserve tank. And by cutting out the bad foods, especially the animal proteins, it makes life a whole lot easier. You have so much more energy to spare because you're utilizing everything to try to break down this steak sandwich. Exhausting. Wheat, of course, is very stressful on the digestive system as well, causes inflammatory reactions in many people. And so if we take those inflammatory foods out, that's going to add more energy to your life. So you will, if you pay attention, you will notice that what you eat has a direct impact on why you're tired. And a simple challenge I can give you is go ahead and have a salad for lunch today, tomorrow, whenever you're listening to this. And don't put cheese on it. Don't put meat on it. You could put chickpeas in it and, green beans, red beans, and just make a nice big salad. See how you feel that afternoon. The next day, I want you to have a couple of slices of pepperoni pizza, maybe some soda to go with that, or an ice cream. See how you feel. You'll be exhausted. So if you know that eating certain foods will make you exhausted, and you know that eating certain foods will give you energy, why would you eat the foods that make you exhausted? Makes no sense. And that's what people are doing. You're making yourself tired by a lot of the foods you eat. So we're talking today about why am I so tired? And so we're answering a lot of those questions for you. If you do have questions that I don't cover in today's show, we have over 1,500 hours of podcasts on our website, drjoe.com. Feel free to go to the website. It's free. Type in what you're looking for, hit enter. Your chances are you're going to find a bunch of stuff on it. If you can't find what you're looking for, because there's a lot of health questions out there, you could send us questions through the website, and I'm more than happy to have me or my staff answer the questions directly for you. A lot of times I answer them directly. So if you have questions that we don't cover on any topic, search the website or send us a message through the website. And how you do that is when you go to the website, a little thing pops up in about 10 or 15, 20 seconds and says, would you like to chat? And if you do, yes, I'd like to chat. I have a question about this. I try to get back to you as quickly as possible. If you come out of the chat, if you leave the website, it has your email address, I will then email you. Please type in the right email address, by the way. I had somebody today who typed in the wrong email address, could not figure out what it was, and he put a .con instead of a .com. And when I finally figured it out, I sent you an email. But you'll hear back from us. So why am I so tired? That's the question everybody asks. Not me, but you probably. Number 1, of course, is you don't get enough sleep. And that's real easy and obvious. It seems so obvious that people don't think about it. That can negatively affect your concentration and your health. How much sleep should you get? I do really well with about 7 hours. I usually don't make it to 8. I usually wake up somewhere between 7 and 8 hours. Find out what works for you. Find out what hours work and say, these are the hours I need. Make sleep a priority and put it on a regular schedule. So if you're staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning, and I mean, when I was a teenager, we used to stay out, but then we go home and go to bed. But I find teenagers now and younger people are on the internet for all hours, and sometimes the adults too, till all hours of the night, going down rabbit holes and looking up one thing after another. You got to really set a time. I like 10 o'clock. That's my time. If I go to bed before 10 o'clock, I wake up too early. If I go to bed after 10 o'clock, little after is okay. Too late, I'm exhausted.
My problem, I suffer from what has been called revenge bedtime procrastination.
Garrett has
RBP.
revenge bedtime. I don't even know what that is, Garrett. Enlighten our listeners.
Somebody had just shared this with me the other day. It's a term that describes when people who don't have much control over their daytime life categorically refuse to go to bed early in order to regain some sense of freedom during the late night hours.
That makes sense. I get that. Yeah.
It's like if you spend 8, 9, 10 hours working throughout the day and then you go home to do chores and cook and clean and take care of a little dog, ultimately, gets down, there's like 1 hour left of the day. And it's like, nah, I want more.
Yes.
I want one more episode.
I didn't know how to word, but as parents get this a lot. It's all day. It's, get up early, get the kid ready to school, take him to school, pick him up from school, feed them, make sure the homework is done. And by the time they finally have time to themselves, they lose their minds. And of course, that's a big issue with couples as well.
Yep.
Couples come into us all the time and say, Doc, I just don't have any time for us. It's all the kid, it's all the work, it's all this. It's it's mowing the lawn, it's raking the leaves, it's fixing the roof, and there's no time for us. And so that's why it's really important that everyone find time for themselves, or if they're in a relationship, the other person, so that you have that peace and quiet, that you can reconnect. And reconnecting with yourself is really important too. So
I think along with that, making sure that you set a time for yourself and keep to it. Also make sure that you're giving yourself plenty of opportunity throughout the day to take some personal time.
Yeah, take a break. Unfortunately, in a lot of businesses, you're supposed to, give breaks. But in certain settings, like healthcare settings, many times you can't schedule a break. You never know. Many jobs, you can't schedule 10 o'clock is my break time. Now, some jobs are a little more structured, but I find the higher up you go in the corporate ladder, the less likely you are to say at 10 o'clock, I'm going to take a break. It just doesn't happen that way. So, and Garrett's right. Yeah.
So wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be nice? 10 o'clock, nap time. I'm going to siesta. I was on Eric Von Hessler's show this week, and we were talking about that. How at the break, we weren't on the air, we were talking, and Tim Andrews was saying something about fatigue, and he loves taking naps. And I said, yeah, naps are great. He goes, don't make fun of me. I said, Tim, I'm not making fun of you. Naps are great. I think everybody should take a nap. But it's got to be before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's got to be for no more than 20 minutes. If you get past 2 o'clock, you start getting into your sleep cycle again. But yeah, napping's a great way to do it. Now, what you want to do then, if you do have that problem, you have to say at 10 o'clock, I shut down my computer, I shut down my phone, and stop playing on the phone, and then get into your sleep mode.
Yeah, I have Do Not Disturb. It kicks on automatically at like 8 o'clock at night.
Oh, that's smart.
So nobody can contact me. And my phone doesn't give me any notifications.
Oh, I can't find you after 8 o'clock? I never tried, I guess. I'm going to try now. I take the challenge. Ha, 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 ha. Call Sierra. Call your dog Maggie.
Yeah, that's what everybody does. They just call Sierra.
Okay, yeah. Where's Garrett? He's trying to sleep. God. The other thing I find with sleep issues is you have to have the right chemistry. And what happens is when you wake up in the morning, your cortisol levels are high. And then as the day goes on, it should curve down. That's normal. But a lot of people, and we can do this, we can test cortisol levels. The cortisol stays high throughout the day. And when I first had my cortisol level test, that's how I was. I was high throughout the day from cortisol levels. And so I wasn't getting into that rest stage. And so that's why it's nice to see these blood works. I saw the blood work and I said, okay, I have to actually make a concerted effort to make sure I'm relaxing toward the end of the day and maybe not working till 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Of course, there was a time when there was so many social events going on that I'd be out 3, 4, 5 nights a week. And I realized that wasn't healthy for me. It was good for socializing. It was good for networking, but it wasn't good for me. And so one of the good things about lockdowns is that you get to get some rest. So got to pick a nap time. But the other thing I find, again, cortisol does that. You also have a hormone in your brain called melatonin. Now, melatonin, you think about it, it's the hormone that makes you sleep. Okay, so melatonin should go up at night and down in the morning, and cortisol is the exact opposite. What happens is, in many cases, the cortisol levels are too high and the melatonin levels are too low. And so you stay awake and don't get sleep, and then you just don't get good sleep when you do sleep. So where does melatonin come from? Melatonin comes from the brain, and it comes from proteins in your digestive system. So if you have a good digestive system, whatever you eat, whether it's a carrot or a steak, again, if you're eating steak, you probably don't have a good digestive system, but the body's going to take proteins and break them into something called amino acids. Now, the amino acid tryptophan becomes serotonin in your brain. Serotonin helps you focus. And that's why people with ADD, ADHD, OCD, many times it's a serotonin issue. And we give you medications to utilize the little bit of serotonin that you have. Or we can just make more serotonin. We do that by fixing the digestive system. If we can fix the gut and get the proteins being broken down properly, then you get tryptophan becomes serotonin. Serotonin becomes melatonin. And so you got to make sure the gut is working. That may be why you're tired all the time. A, you're not absorbing your nutrients properly. B, you may not be eating the right nutrients. And then C, you may not be breaking down the proteins properly. And so if we can get those proteins broken down properly, we can absorb them properly to produce the neurotransmitters, and the serotonin becomes melatonin. Then you focus better during the day and you sleep better at night. So if you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, many times that's easily fixed. The stomach is pushed up into the diaphragm, and all my doctors, by the way, are trained by me, and they're my personal doctors. So if I trust them taking care of me and Garrett and people I care about, I trust them taking care of you. No doctor gets to start seeing patients in our offices until I approve of them, and I've trained them. So all my doctors are trained to fix the acid reflux or a hiatal hernia by pulling the stomach or adjusting the stomach down away from the diaphragm. And when they do that, it's amazing. When mine acts up, I notice I start getting chronic cough, feel like I can't swallow, and I start burping a lot. So what do? Grab one of my doctors. I want you to adjust my stomach. They pull the stomach down, and usually within minutes, I see a difference. And in fact, I have patients, chronic cough all the time, coughing all the time. And when we adjust their stomach, many times that stops. So the danger of that is acid is coming up into your throat, and that acid can be eating away at your esophagus. Ultimately, that can cause something like esophageal cancer. So it's not a game. Acid reflux is not something you want to play with. Just before I came here to do the show, I was chatting with Dr. Kat, one of my doctors, and she talked about betaine hydrochloride. And I love my doctors come to me with issues because they want me to break it down for them. And of course, they become better doctors then too. And Dr. Kat is brilliant anyway. And she said, betaine hydrochloride increases your stomach acid. I said, yeah, betaine hydrochloride activates pepsin, which becomes pepsinogen, which then breaks down your proteins. And she said, so when people have acid reflux, many times the food is sitting in their stomach for too long and it rots. So it's not that you have too much stomach acid with acid reflux, you have too little stomach acid. And so if we give a patient betaine hydrochloride to create pepsin and create pepsinogen to break down the proteins, wouldn't that solve the problem? And I said, in many cases, yes. And she said, so why do we oftentimes give people antacids or proton pump inhibitors when we should be giving them something to increase the stomach acid, not decrease it? And I said, that's a rhetorical question. I don't know the answer to that. We know the answer. The answer is increase stomach acid, not decrease it, and then pull the stomach away from the diaphragm to break proteins into amino acids, to produce neurotransmitters, to produce melatonin, and then you're able to sleep. And so it was really great that she thought she was thinking along the right lines, and she just needed me to lay it out in a pattern. And so it was really cool that I love when my doctors think on those levels and start going, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. Let me figure out why it's not making sense. So anyway, that's why when you come to our offices, you're in hands of what I feel some of the best doctors in the world. My opinion, some of the best doctors in the world, because they're my doctors. And I wouldn't let them take care of me if I don't let them take care of you. So anyway, that's one of the reasons why you're tired all the time. You're not absorbing your food. You're not breaking down the proteins into amino acids. And with acid reflux, when you lay down, the acid can come up into your throat, and that can cause snoring. It can cause burning, heartburn, and that can prevent you from sleeping properly. And also, if the stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm, when you inhale, the stomach drops down, and when you exhale, the stomach moves up. And so if the stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm, if you're standing, you have gravity assist. If you're laying down, you don't have gravity, so you may not be getting enough air into your lungs because the diaphragm isn't moving, because the stomach is up against the diaphragm, not breaking proteins into amino acids to produce neurotransmitters to produce melatonin. Wow. So many times when you have sleep issues or sleep apnea or snoring, it's a physical issue that causes a chemical issue that's so easy to fix. And that's the kicker, is so many times patients come to us, and the biggest complaint I get, been doing this for 37 years, biggest complaint I get is, why didn't I do this sooner? Why didn't I figure out that if I got my body healthy, I would function better? In fact, I was at the studio today, as a matter of fact, early today, and one of my bosses, he said, now, how far apart are you and I in years? And I told him how old I was. And he said, "Oh my gosh, you're a heck of a lot older than me. I thought you were my age." He says, "I look older than you." And I didn't say anything, but because he doesn't. I don't think he does. But I was flattered that somebody I've worked with for years now, 10 years, still didn't know how old I was. And that's really flattering. They thought I was a lot younger. So we can maintain our health and maintain our youth by making sure the nervous system is working, the digestive system is working, and your diet is right. And so if you do have a health issue, I'm going to have to go to a break pretty soon, but if you do have a health issue, you want to come see us. We have offices, the Atlanta area, Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. We would love to be your doctors. Initial visit was $375. We've reduced that to $199. That includes x-rays, even x-rays, adjustment, exam, consultation, going over the x-rays on your follow-up visit, and the nutritional evaluation. Nutritional follow-up alone is $150. So you get all that for $199, and then you're probably going to need more care from that. We accept insurance, most insurances, for care beyond that. If you've ever been in a car accident, you were damaged. If the car was damaged, you were damaged. So you need to come see us right away. Even if you don't have symptoms, let us check you to make sure everything's okay. It's like you look at your car, it's making noise, you don't see anything, you crawl up underneath and, the frame is bent. So stop suffering needlessly. Stop having health issues. And the nice part is we are Health Plus Wellness Centers. So we have a medical division. So we can do hormone balance. We can take your blood, check your hormones, and then we can help balance it with nutrition or bioidentical hormones. We have a service called PRP, which is just amazing. PRP, we take your own platelets out of your blood and re-inject them into the joint to help with inflammation and swelling and speed up the healing process. You add chiropractic to that, you got an amazing combination of putting the bones back in place and bringing down the inflammation and stimulating the cells that create new tissue. PRP can be used for so many different things. Hair, if you got balding, not totally bald, but bald spots, non-surgical facial, erectile dysfunction, way less expensive than most other treatments and works in most cases just as well. For women, if you have leaky bladder, if you have issues after having children, same thing with romantic issues, PRP can be used there as well. So PRP is crazy good on so many different levels. And if we need medicine, if we need pain control, you need an injection into the spine, the knee, we have that available as well. So we really are a one-stop shop for health and wellness. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. Or you can book it right online, or you can call us or send us a message through the website, and we'll get you booked as soon as possible. Again, offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. We're talking about why you're so tired all the time. Sleep apnea, we kind of covered with the stomach. Sleep apnea is so common. I remember my father used to snore, my grandmother used to snore, my mother would snore, and from what I understand, all of those things could have been easily fixed because I didn't analyze them. Unfortunately, only my mom's still with us. But looking at patients, when we pull the stomach away from the diaphragm and the diaphragm starts moving again, so many times solves the problem of sleep apnea as well. Many times you're overweight, and when you lay down, the big fat stomach, I used to be fat, pushes up against your diaphragm. And so we also have a doctor's supervised weight loss program that we can put you on to help control that weight issue as well and pull the stomach away from the diaphragm. And then we got to check the spine as well, because the nerves from the spine control everything. So if you have a rib out of place, if you have bones in the spine out of place, put them back in place, and it allows the ribs to start moving back and forth, allowing natural breathing to occur. So sleep apnea many times is a physical issue that, again, causes a chemical issue as well. So if you have that, you might want to come see us and let's see what's going on. Because sleep apnea is not something that's just annoying, it's actually dangerous, because you're not getting enough oxygen and you're gasping for air, you're not getting into that deep sleep, and that affects your health on so many different levels. Many times we talked about that earlier, people just not getting enough fuel. And so the minimum supplements I recommend people should take are Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, and then eating a good diet as well. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, drjoe.com. Tell your friends about the show. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening to For the Health Fit. Remember to subscribe to this podcast, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well. You can also listen to and call into my radio show live Sunday evenings from 7 to 9 Eastern Time on WSBRadio.com and on the WSB Radio app.
It's a new day.